Hey guys, welcome to another episode of KSP Resurgence. Today we are landing on Sanctar's biggest and closest moon, Alia. Alia is a terraformed moon with a breathable atmosphere. However, we are not sure if it is breathable completely to Kerbals because we are almost done terraforming it. It's not completely terraformed just yet. However, we do believe the terraforming will end very soon and we'll be able to colonize it. I do have Kerbal Colonies installed, but I'm not sure if I should make a colony on there because Alia already has a launch pad with exactly via Kerbal constructs. I mean, if you guys want me to do that, I could. I'll probably like have a poll if I really want to. Maybe I'll figure it out later. Also, I should also mention that we have a Discord server. There should be a link in the description, an invite in the description. So please join the Discord server. It's not very populated right now, but I'm sure. Hopefully if this channel grows, so will the server. Still building the lander. The interstage is from Procedural fairing. I love that mod. It just looks amazing sometimes. Most of the time it looks amazing. It looks amazing unless you have like a weird payload and the fairing is like way too big. It just looks kind of stupid. If you have any questions about any of the mods I'm using, please leave a comment and I'll be happy to answer them. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want to see more KSP Resurgence. Alia is, despite being the closest moon to Sanctar, is actually maybe the hardest to land on. Alia is not the biggest moon in the Kerbal Space Program. I think it's like similar size to the Mum, but I could be wrong. It has a really thick atmosphere, similar in thickness to Kerbin or Sanctar. Kerbin's long gone since Celestial Harmony, this planet pack, takes place billions and billions of years in the future. So Alia is difficult to land on. Well, it's not difficult to land on. The only difficult part is finding solid ground because Alia has a lot of oceans and also lots of hills and stuff. So you may land on an incline and end up falling over and dying. It's also a little difficult to take off from just because it has a thick atmosphere that you have to deal with. You have to deal with drag. But that atmosphere can be used, but I don't have any of the technologies to really use it effectively. I do have some very early game jet engines, but like other than that, I don't have any plane parts, so I'm not going to try making an Alia SSTO. I do want to make that in the future, though, in a future episode. I probably like do a Krob Space Station X or something. I do have the mod Kerbal Colonies installed, but like I said previously, Alia has a launch site with Kerbal constructs. I'm not sure if I want to make a colony when I already have that launch site right there. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment about that. I'm adding ladders. Don't worry, well, in the final video I didn't forget them, but I made some changes to the lander. Yeah, I got off and I got back on. That's why the clip cut. I did make some changes off camera because I installed another mod, that being Universal Storage. It has a bunch of really neat service bays, but when I changed out the service bay and replaced it, I got rid of all the ladders. So after I launched my spaceship, I went all the way to Alia, only to realize that I didn't bring ladders, so I had to revert the entire thing. And what's worse, that I actually managed to land on one of the terraformers. I have video evidence as proof. I'll show you later. If you're wondering where that engine is from, it's from Cryogenic Engines Extensions. It's like one of the best mods, especially if you love cryogenic engines. The base Cryogenic Engine mods by Nertea adds several Methalox and Hydrolox rockets, but Cryo Engines Extensions is another mod that adds a bunch more, like Methalox Sustainers or Hydrolox Lifter rockets that aren't featured in the base Cryogenic Engines mod. Main notice I've only really been using methane for this rocket. Methalox is just a great fuel. It's not as efficient as say hydrogen, for example, but it's a lot more dense, so you don't have to pack as much as it. So in a lot of situations, even with nuclear rockets, I feel like methane always ends up being hydrogen, so that's just what I end up using. Yeah, I had to do some auto strut here and there just to make sure the rocket didn't collapse. Now, I gotta say, here's the footage of me landing on the terraformer with my lander without a ladder. So I got a really good shot of landing, pretty good shot. But I'm not gonna use it as a profile picture because it kind of clickbaity. I do have footage of the full landing, but I'm not gonna upload it because there's no EVA or anything interesting other than the landing, of course. Because I forgot ladders. But it's pretty cool of all the places to land. I ended up on a terraformer, so that was really cool. Those terraformers aren't going to be around for long because their job is almost done. Soon Alia will be fit for colonization and will be able to live there permanently. Maybe even launch some rockets there. It'll be easier to get them into orbit than Sanctar. The only issue with Alia is that how far its atmosphere goes up. It goes up really high. Well, Sanctar's only goes up to 72 kilometers. Alia, despite being way smaller, goes up to 91 kilometers. I suppose you do need more gas with less gravity to get the same amount of atmospheric pressure, but it's just it's just a really high atmosphere. Of course, you gotta go Alia. To save fuel, I'm gonna do an aero capture. Some people may say that aero braking is for noobs, but if you want to try really hard, then aero braking can be really difficult, especially when the mod trajectories installed. Well, trajectories is supposed to make it easier, and sometimes it does, but sometimes it just lies to you. It says, "Oh, the atmospheric drag is gonna make you land here," but then because my craft is tumbling and the drag and the aerodynamic coefficient's changing, it just gets confused and doesn't know where I'm actually going to land. So what I think I'm actually going to land on land is like, oh, sorry, I lied. You're landing in the ocean. There's some nice Firefly effects. I actually had to try this landing multiple times because one time I landed on an incline and ended up falling over. Just a minor inconvenience. I do believe I'll actually show you that to you. I don't think I edited that clip out. If you hear like Kerbal's talking every so often, next from the mod Chatterer, you can't really hear it that well because this video's sped up, but it's a great mod. I recommend it. It adds a lot more personality to the game. Like the texture replacer mod is another mod that makes the Kerbals like have different faces and hairstyles and stuff, which is pretty cool. But to be honest, I really wish there was like a mod that made the Kerbals like better in Kerbal Space Program 2. In Kerbal Space Program 2, they had 3D hair, they had like a lot more personality. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Kerbals in KSP 1 have plenty of personality. They're just all the same. I wish there was a mod that like gave Kerbals like 3D hairstyles and just made them look a lot better. We got part revamps, we got planet revamps, we got mods like Scatterer, Parallax, Restock. Like we have mods, graphical mods, beautification mods for literally every phase of the game, except for the Kerbals. So who knows, maybe someone will come around and change things. Now I was a little scared here because I landed on incline, so I tried moving things around. I tried changing my trajectory. Actually, it turns out it wasn't too steep, but alas, I still ended up falling over because it was just steep enough. You know, it's like yeah, that is pretty steep. So I just ended up doing a quick load, and here's the next landing where I actually did something different. And I ended up sticking the landing. I thought the landing would fail for a bit because I'm not gonna spoil it. It's kind of nerve-wracking what happens. Sounds like something that happened in like an action thriller movie or something. Another thing I should mention, if you want to have your own personal Kerbal in this series, I do have a forum up on a Google forum where you can type in the name of your Kerbal and personalize your Kerbal, so you can actually have your own Kerbal in KSP Resurgence. So I have a Nova Aerospace application form in the description. Oh no, my drogue chute's tied. Ah, whatever. I'll just deploy my secondary parachutes and they'll be alright. Guess what? Those broke, because I was going supersonic. Certainly this one would work, and guess what? It did, so that's nice. As I was saying, the Kerbal applications are open, so I'm going to avoid hiring generic Kerbals because I actually want you guys to have your own Kerbals in here. I'll let you personalize everything, almost everything about the Kerbals, like the stupidity, courage, the job. Oh wait, I forgot to put the job in the form. I gotta update that. Yeah, so when you guys get the form, it should have a job, like engineer, pilot, scientist, etc. I also have an additional option for the suit color, because one of the mods I have, Phoenix Industries, adds a bunch of suits. And I like the look of them, so I'll let you guys choose. It has a few special suits, but I have locked those behind like special users like mod developers and other KSP YouTubers or notable individuals in the KSP community. Or just personal friends of mine. I've also locked the veteran and badass personality values behind that. So I haven't been talking about what's going on screen. We've now landed on Alia and we're going on an EVA. The clouds are absolutely beautiful. I sped up the ladder climbing segment because it's just boring. You always have to pack ladders on Alia because if you don't, they just won't work. Here's a nice profile picture shot I did. You can tell the clouds like kind of jitter a little bit because I took a screenshot. So now I'm gonna do a bit of science, some EVA reports. I wasn't able to retrieve all the science experiments I did because they're on the other side of the lander and I couldn't reach them. But I'll get them in orbit, don't worry. And by the way, the science experiments, they're just a science junior and mystery goo and thermometer and barometer experiments. Except they're from the mod Universal Storage, which is where the service bay comes from. What's good about the mystery goo and the science juniors that they can be used twice before you have to reset them. You may have noticed I have an awful ghosting issue going on. I have to fix that. I believe it's an issue with anti-aliasing with TUFX and stuff, because anti-aliasing causes so many issues. Like, why do people even use anti-aliasing on Kerbal Space Program? It just causes glitches. We're climbing up the ladder now. Now for a bit, Bill Kerman, despite being warned by the KSC, takes off his helmet and breathes in the Alian air. He takes a whiff, doesn't kill him, so he thinks he's okay. We weren't exactly sure if the air was breathable just yet, so we didn't want to take our helmets off just in case. But it didn't kill Bill, at least it didn't kill him quickly. So we might have to have a more long-term presence here, just to look at the atmosphere and the composition of it and see if there are any germs or any alien microbes in there before we can finally colonize this world and actually live here. With all the trees here, it's practically a second Kerbin, or a second Sanctar in this case. I got an asparagus staging set up here, something like it. I just have drop tanks. I didn't plan to use my lander to like do any of the orbital maneuvering on the way to Alia, but I had to end up doing that. But thankfully, this lander is kind of overbuilt. I think I ended up having 1,000 meters per second left over, so it all worked out in the end. Second drop tanks are gone, and they crash into each other. Marvelous. Just had to check my drag coefficient because this part of the atmosphere is still somewhat draggy. I could tell because I was trying to do a gravity turn and my vessel kept wanting to face prograde. I decided to cut my throttle and coast to the upper atmosphere a bit just so I could deal with less drag. Didn't really matter though because I already spent most of my fuel in the lower stage, so here goes the second stage. I probably could have gotten away with using a more vacuum optimized engine. I mean, this engine is optimized for vacuum. I believe it's a Shikra Methalox engine from Cryogenic Engines Extensions. It's like a Terrier, but it uses Methalox instead of Keralox. But I think, like with chemical technologies, I think it's now a hypergolic engine, the Terrier. So it's like a Terrier, but it's a Methalox Terrier. There's also like an upgrade, a bigger version of it called the Owl, which is like a Methalox Poodle engine. Fills the same niche, except it uses Methalox and therefore superior. That kind of reminds me, there's some things I do not like about the KSP tech tree, like the community tech tree. I just feel like some of the technologies to unlock too quickly, like maybe some of the rockets, like the fuel types. Well, then again, it's okay with like chemical technologies. I kind of prefer maybe if methane like unlocked a little later, like some of the Methalox engines were unlocked a little later. Just saying though. Not to mention, one thing I do not like about community tech tree is that how we never use ion engines, because they're so far off in the tech tree. Like by the time you already have them, you already have like nuclear saltwater, so there's no reason to use ion engines. I mean, if you didn't have far future technologies installed and you just had the near future suite in Kerbal Atomics, they'd still be the best engines in terms of just raw delta V. But with far future technologies, it has like way better options that are way easier to unlock. So if I made a tech tree, I'd probably have like the nuclear and ion branches super close together, like right next to each other, just to make them easier to unlock. And actually just make ion propulsion a viable alternative to other means of propulsion. We're now doing our final burn to get home. Waterfall looking beautiful as always. I was making sure I packed a heat shield. Checking my staging too. Actually, I think we actually ended up having 500 meters per second left over. I said it was 1,000 previously, but I was wrong. If you're wondering what this UI is, it's called Z-Theme. I think a whole lot of people know Z-Theme now, but I think there are still some people who don't know what it is. And also, I did notice my previous video, Curious Silly, got like 170 views or something. Like I got 150 views in 12 hours. So, thanks guys for giving me so many views. I think there's a bunch of new viewers who did it, but if you're a returning viewer, then thank you for sticking with this series. There's more on the way. I was initially hoping to do like uploads bi-weekly, but I've only been doing it weekly. But who knows, maybe I'll change my schedule up a bit, maybe like dedicate more time to this. Like summer right now, I don't have any school or anything, so I should probably have like way more than enough time to be able to make these videos. This is another reminder that I do have Kerbal applications open, so if you want your own Kerbal to be violently killed, I mean launched to space and used for very nefarious, very good purposes for the advancement of science and the advancement of the Kerbal race, there's a forum in the description, so please check that out. Not to mention I'm kind of tired of sending up the same 3 Kerbals, or soon to be 4, as soon as I get the better command pods of Valentina. Yeah, and also the drogue chutes, I guess they were broken. They broke for some reason, even though the normal parachutes didn't. It's kind of weird. Like the parachutes are supposed to be broken and torn, but if you repack them, they work just fine. I mean, the drogue chutes didn't, but the other 2 parachutes that ripped did. Now, this is the part where I horse around with FreeIVA and JSI. JSI Raster Prop Monitor is a mod. It has a bunch of these really cool screens. I have an altitude warning. I can have alarms like ground proximity warning. I'll turn it on. It'll start beeping at me. There we go. It's beeping at me and master alarm's on. It's got a bunch of other alarms I can do. I can deploy the parachutes. Even if I can get cameras on here, I can see what it looks like on the outside. So you can do an entire mission in IVA, but I just don't hate myself enough to be able to do that. I decided to cut the extra parachutes because I didn't need them. Those parachutes are only really needed for the Alia descent. And the heat shield I just happened to survive somehow. Probably because I dropped it when we were already slowed down. I'm getting nuclear propulsion and more command modules, but that is going to be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are around here for the next one, so please look out for the next episode, and thanks for watching. Bye!